Now, Sri C.M. Ramesh, absent. Sri Prabhu Patel will speak tomorrow. Sri Rajiv Chandrasekhar.
So thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak on these historic GST bills, sir, the CGST, IGST, the Union Territory GST and the GST compensation bills. Sir, we have finally reached the last lap of what I believe is the most significant indirect taxation reform in independent India. I congratulate the Prime Minister, the Finance Minister, and all the state government ministers who work together in national interest to make this reform a reality. Sir, I congratulate the government for specifically going beyond the broad idea of GST and addressing the real issues and concerns of the states that were wary of this reform for many years by squarely addressing the issue of compensation in acceptable ways. Sir, except for the political football that was played with GST for the many sessions of Parliament, this reform would have come sooner and saved many lakhs of crores. My friend Derek talked about disruption, sir, and I would just respectfully point out that disrupting the Parliament to save thousands and lakhs of crores in a scam and disrupting the Parliament and costing the economy thousands lakhs of crores by way of lost revenue are two different types of disruptions. I make that point, and I hope he does.
His point was because the Chief Minister delayed giving his approval for GST.
He made the point about disrupt. No. I have to address what I want to address, not what you want me to address. He talked about disruptions in Parliament, and I'm drawing a contrast between disrupting the Parliament when there is a scam and disrupting the Parliament to cause loss to the economy. There are two different types of disruptions, and they will remain two types of disruptions.
But Chandrasekhar ji, in any case, disruption of the House.
So he brought it up. I am clarifying, sir. No, I don't believe in disruptions because it costs people like me time to speak.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm just making the point that he raised. So personally, sir, it is one of those moments in my parliamentary career where I'm proud to have contributed by advocating this reform and also serving in the same parliamentary select committee that my friend Derek mentioned under the chairmanship of Bhupendra Yadav. Sir, as I had said during my speech during the constitutional amendment debates, indirect taxes impact every Indian, rich or poor, and every business, big and small. Indirect taxes form the backbone of our economic model given the low direct taxes coverage. Given our low tax GDP ratio and the low direct tax coverage, indirect taxes are very important, and reforming and simplifying them, therefore, sir, becomes very important to making the lives of consumers, citizens, and businesses easier. With GST, the intimidating task of complying with and paying 14 to 16 different taxes will now stand reduced to a state GST and a central GST. This effect of the GST reform is a big deal for all businesses and consumers, especially, sir, small businesses for whom the cost and effort of compliance with complex and often corruption-ridden interstate trade is intimidating and discouraging. This reduction in the cost of compliance, sir, is not trivial and will also bring down the cost and increase the ease of doing business. By reducing the cascading effect of various taxes, it also reduces costs to both consumers and producers. With easier compliance will also come expansion of the tax base. With expansion of the tax base will come increased revenues to the government for its welfare and social spending needs, both state and center, sir. All these will finally contribute to transforming our economy to one which is more efficient and competitive, an important criterion in an increasingly competitive world. As I have said before, sir, the GST is also a consumer and a business-friendly tax regime because it is heavily invested in technology. The GST network will also be a platform for compliance and filing, thus marking another reform, that is a new approach to tax administration without the Inspector Raj that consumers and businesses have grown to loathe and detest. So the entire rationale of GST rests on it being pro-consumer and pro-small business. There are 5 broad tax slabs, as has been mentioned by my previous speakers. There will also be cesses to finance possible compensation to the states that will be levied on certain demerit goods. So I want to make 2 points to the Finance Minister, sir, here on this. I would urge that the 28% slab not be a slab where there is very minimum number of goods and services, sir. Because we don't want us to be characterized as a high GST regime economy. So I would urge him to minimize the number of goods and services in the 28% slab. I would also, sir, suggest a sort of caution. Excessive use of the cess for demerit and luxury items would trigger an underground black economy and smuggling in those categories. So I think we should be very careful about overusing cesses. So there is the usual carping about the imperfections of the current GST, and my colleague Derek mentioned it, and I think other speakers have spoken about it. But sir, I accept this is not the perfect GST. But sir, perfection isn't necessarily consistent with consensus building. And also sir, we know in this house, every tax reform and indeed every economic reform has been an evolution of an idea or law. There will be a process of evolution and improvement as GST lays its roots and expands. We can even think, sir, perhaps of what is unthinkable today, that maybe in the future, as states get more comfortable with their fiscal situation, that the GST's dual structure, the SGST and the CGST, may merge into one simple tax in the future. So let me end with saying a few words on the implementation, sir. Going ahead, as we race towards the 1 July deadline, the readiness of the technology backbone of the GSTN and the tax administration structures become critical. There is also this question of advocacy and preparing businesses with regard to the new GST and its compliance requirements. The government's objective must be very simple and very clear, sir. It must make the transition from the current taxation regime as smooth, orderly, and non-disruptive as possible, both for consumers and for businesses. The government must ramp up its advertising and advocacy campaign soon after the legislation is passed, aimed at businesses. Sir, and I'll just quote one quick quote from Arvind Subramaniam, the Chief Economic Advisor, that there is a communication challenge is this, and I quote, today's headline tax rate is not the actual tax burden felt by the consumer. What you see is not what the consumers get. So if the government imposes a GST rate that seems greater than today's rate, it does not necessarily follow up that the tax burden has gone up, end quote. So this needs to be communicated to ensure compliance and to ensure that consumers don't fear GST. So far, I understand 74% of the VAT SSCs have migrated to the GSTN portal, while only 28% of the excise and service tax SSCs have enrolled for the new regime, which is good progress, but I still believe that the government has a lot of work to do before it can successfully be ready for the July 1 deadline. So I end by saying this, sir. The GST is a vital and important part of the Transforming India agenda. The next few months of execution will determine to a large part its success and make this historical indirect taxation reform a real game changer in the progress and growth of our economy. Again, sir, I congratulate the Finance Minister and the government for enacting this law and passing this historic legislation, sir. Thank you, sir. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, Rajiv Chandrasekhar ji. Thank you.